Good afternoon, everyone. So we were tasked to discuss the social work helping models and approaches, and I am Mark Jason Magdon, and I am with my co-presenters. So first, we have the direct provision model. So what is a direct provision model? According to Mendoza, 2022, in her Orange Book entitled Social Welfare and Social Work Third Edition, she defined this model as follows. According to Schneiderman, it is the enhancement of client social functioning through the direct provision of material aid useful in eliminating or reducing situational deficiencies. So other refers to this as resource provision, where resources may be mobilized, created, directly furnished. The client may be advised and counseled in making optimal use of them. So a provision model is a framework or system designed to deliver specific goods or services to target population. It outlines how resources will be allocated, services provided, and needs addressed within the particular context or setting. So next we have the definition of terms, and now I am giving the floor to discuss this to Fenex Marcandulong.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. I am Phoenix Mark Andulong and would like to discuss the definition of terms. Next. So first one, the definition of terms is a social functioning. So when we say social functioning, ito yung tumutukoy sa isang individual na kung saan kailangan niyang makipasalamuha sa komunidad. Na kung saan dito siya matututo at maaaring magkaroon siya ng mga kaalaman. At katulad nga ng mga nasabi ko, ang isang individual ay kinakailangan talaga na makibahagi sa mga aktibidad sa kanyang komunidad dahil kailangan niya ito sa kanyang paglaki or pag-unlad ng kanyang sarili. So halimbawa nito ay ang pakikipag-usap mo sa iyong mga kaklase, katrabaho, or kahit sino man o kasi sino man ang iyong makasalamuha. Pero dapat kinakailangan din dito yung respeto at paggalang sa iyong mga kinakausap. At kailangan din na mas maging maingat sa mga pagnanalita dahil minsan tayo ay nakakasakit na hindi natin alam. Kaya naman, dapat tayo ay laging positibo sa ating mga ginagawa. Next. So next one is the provision. So when we say provision, so ito yung pagbibigay ng mga resources, mga opportunities, at mga intervention kung kinakailangan. Pero yung intervention is nangyayari lang yan kapag doon sa mga tao na kinakailangan talaga ng tulong dahil para mas mapaunlad at mas mapabuti pa ang kanilang buhay. Pero ang talagang meaning ng provision is ito yung mga pagbibigay ng tulong upang mas mapabuti pa ang kalagayan ng kanilang pamumuhay sa kanilang komunidad. Next po. So next one is the material aid. So as cited by Vincent Kerr 2024, people for material aid is a practical assistance given by the people in need. So sa madaling salita, ang material aid, ito yung mga physical na pangangailangan ng tao. Katulad kasama dito yung mga pagkain, damit, gamot, at iba pang mga material na bagay na kung saan kinakailangan ng isang mamamayan o isang pamilya. So dahil dito sa material aid, kinakailangan ito ng isang pamilya or isang individual upang mas mapabuti ang kanilang kalagayan at ang kanilang kalusugan. Next po. So the last one is the mobilize. So when we say mobilize, so ito yung naglalayong mag-empower ng isang komunidad na kung saan para sa kabutihan din ng kanilang kapaligiran. At kinakailangan din ng individual sa lipunan na buuin ito sa pamamagitan ng mga activities. Katulad dito halimbawa yung sa ating ginanap na webinar noong May 8 and 9. So kung mapapansin natin doon sa webinar natin na nakaraan is sadyang lahat ng tao is gumagalaw na kung saan ito ay naka-organize, kumbaga. So makita natin na bawat committee ay may naka-assign doon na tao or mga estudyante na kung saan sila ay mag-iintindi ron upang mas mapabuti ang webinar. So dito sinasabi dito na may isa kayong goal, kumbaga may isa kayong goal dito pero kailangan yung pagtulungan para mas mapaayos at mas mapabuti ang kanyang kalagayan. Yun lang po. Thank you. I give this platform to Jason.
So next we have the application in casework. First, we have the individualized assessment. In-depth assessment are carried out by social workers to comprehend the particular needs and circumstances of every person or family. This entails learning about their objectives, challenges, strengths, and background. So individualized assessments involve social workers conducting through evaluation to understand the unique needs and circumstances of each person or family, considering their goals, challenges, strengths, and background. Next, we have the tailored service planning. Social workers create personalized service plans that include detailed interventions and support techniques to address the needs and that are identified based on assessment results. These plans are made to be adaptable and sensitive to the client's changing circumstances. So, tailored service planning entails social workers creating personalized plans with specific interventions and support strategies based on assessment findings. And these plans are designed to be flexible and responsive to the client's evolving situation. Next, we have the access to resources, facilitating direct access to necessary resources and services like housing, healthcare, education, and job assistance and financial support is a key component of the direct provision model. Social workers can link clients with the right service providers, help them navigate bureaucratic processes, or even offer direct assistance. So access to resources involves social workers facilitating direct access to essential resources and services such as housing, healthcare, education, job assistance, and financial support. They connect clients with appropriate service providers, help navigate bureaucratic processes, and maybe provide direct assistance. Next, we have the case management and advocacy. Case management and advocacy sees social workers acting as an advocate for their clients, aiding them in navigating complex systems and or overcoming uh, barriers to accessing resource and services. So this may involve advocating for policy changes, challenging unfair treatment, or negotiating uh, with service providers on behalf of the client. So next we have empowerment and self-determination. So empowerment and self-determination is in the direct provision model, clients are empowered to assess rather their needs, to set their goals and make decisions about their lives. Social workers support clients in developing skills and confidence to advocate for themselves. Next, we have the monitoring and evaluation. So, social workers regularly assess the effectiveness of interventions closely to monitor the client's progress rather, and adjust service plans as needed to ensure the clients receive the necessary support to achieve their goals. Next, next we have the sample case with the assessment and intervention. So this is the case scenario entitled the Aurelius Direct Provision to Response to Refugees Crisis. So Aurelia is a small coastal nation. It's experiencing a surge in asylum seekers fleeing neighboring countries due to political instability and armed conflict. The government is under pressure to address the humanitarian crisis while ensuring the security and well-being of both asylum seekers and local residents. In response to the influx of asylum seekers, the government of Aurelia decides to implement a direct provision model to manage the situation effectively. So in this case, so Aurelia is a small nation, is facing a significant increase in asylum seekers fleeing nearby countries due to political turmoil and armed conflicts. So to effectively manage this crisis, the government of Aurelia decides to implement a direct provision model. And this model involves providing asylum seekers with direct access to essential resources and services such as housing, healthcare, education, job assistance, and financial support. Additionally, it emphasizes that individualized assessment to understand each asylum seeker's specific needs and circumstances, as well as tailored service planning to provide personalized support. So the assessment for this is the first we have the scope of the crisis. So we should determine the recent surge in asylum requests for neighboring nations. So bago na tayo mag-ano ang unang gagawin natin sa assessment is assess natin yung scope ng crisis kung bakit what do you call this? Determine natin yung surge sa request ng mga asylums from neighboring nations. Next, we have the demographic analysis. So we have to gather data on asylum seekers like their age, gender, family composition, their names, and special needs. Next, we have the security and well-being. So we should evaluate the impact of the crisis on the safety of and the well-being of both local and uh, asylum seekers. So next is the capacity and resources. So as a social worker, we should assess the readiness of the civil society, humanitarian organizations, and the government agencies to manage the humanitarian situation. Next, we have the legal and policy framework. So this examines the laws and policies including the international treaties, regional accords, and national laws that control the refugees protection and asylum in Aurelia. So in this legal and policy framework, we analyze the refugees protection laws and in international treaties, regional agreements, and national legislation to governing asylum rather in Aurelia. Next, we have the community impact rather. Evaluate how the flood of asylum seekers has affected the local communities, socio-economic and cultural aspects, such as social cohesion, employment prospects, and access to public service. So, as a social worker, we should evaluate the impact nun sa community and assess the socio-economic and cultural effects on the influx of asylum seekers or local communities. Next, we have the risk assessment. Carry out a risk assessment to pinpoint possible weak points, dangers, and difficulties related to the provision model, such as overcrowding, subpar housing, and threats to asylum seekers. So we should identify potential challenges and risks associated with the direct provision model, like overcrowding, subpar housing, and the threats to the seekers. Next, we have the intervention. First, we have the direct provision model implementation. To help asylum seekers set up transitory shelters and direct provision centers in key Aurelian locations. Next, we have verify the centers offers basic necessities like food, housing, medical attention, hygienic amenities, and psychological support services. Next, establish a methodical admissions procedure to identify vulnerabilities in asylum seekers and grant them access to services in accordance with their needs. So, in this, we establish transitory shelters and direct provision centers in strategic Aurelian locations. So, syempre para ma-ensure natin yung safety nila, we should set up nga ni shelters para dun sa mga seekers na yun. Next, ensure that these centers provide essential services including food, shelter, and medical care, hygiene, facilities, and psychological support. Next, we have the security measures. Strengthen security protocols inside and outside the direct provisions facilities to protect local communities, employees, and asylum seekers. Work together with law enforcement to stop and deal with instances of harassment, discrimination, exploitation directed at the people seeking asylum. Train security as staff in human rights principles, cultural sensitivity, and conflict resolution. So we should enhance the security protocols within and around the direct provision facilities and to safeguard the local communities, staff and the asylum seekers. And we should collaborate with law enforcement to prevent and address these instances of harassment, discrimination, exploitation directed at people seeking asylum. Next we have the community engagement and awareness. So we should conduct community outreach and awareness initiatives to foster in understanding and empathy towards asylum seekers among locals, and organize public forums, cultural events, and cross-cultural exchange programs to promote cohesion and collaboration. Next, we have to facilitate communication and cooperation between host communities and the asylum seekers to address misunderstanding and build mutual trust. Next is the capacity building and resource mobilization. Uh, we enhance the capabilities of civil society partners, humanitarian organizations, and government agencies to effectively respond to humanitarian crises and secure additional funds, resources, and technical expertise to support the implementation of direct provision model and related aid efforts. Next is the legal and policy framework. We should ensure that the implementation of this direct provision model complies with the international standards and principle of refugee protection, including the right to seek asylum and non-refoulement and access due to process. And we should ensure that the adherence of the international standards and principle and protection to in implementing this provision model, and review the national legislation and policies and technical ay, to bolster the legal framework for asylum and refugee, encompassing procedure for asylum determination, family reunification, and durable solutions. Next, we have the coordination and monitoring mechanisms to encourage information exchange, cooperation, and decision-making among pertinent stakeholders. All coordination mechanisms should be established at the national, regional, and local levels. So we should provide mechanisms for monitoring and evaluating intervention in order to keep tabs on the impact, effectiveness, and efficiency in relation to community dynamics, service delivery, and protection outcomes. Regularly evaluate and assess the response to the humanitarian crisis in order to spot new issues and gaps and areas for improvement. So we should establish coordination mechanism at national, regional, and local levels to facilitate information exchange and decision making among stakeholders. Next, we should implement monitoring and evaluation systems to assess interventions impact, yung impact nun at yung effectiveness and the efficiency of in community dynamics and service delivery and protection outcomes. Next is we should conduct regular evaluation to identify new issues and gaps and areas for improvement in responding to this humanitarian crisis. Now, to discuss the mediation model, and I am giving to Elijah and Crystal Faith.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Elijah M. Garing, and I'm here today to discuss the mediation model. Next po. So, ano nga ba ibig sabihin ng mediation model? So, accordance with the Forums of Studies of Swiss Society 2018 and Budeva 2021, these practice models as defined by Sonia Doveda of the University of Veliko Tarnovo integrates mediation and social work in social works. So, first page po. So, the mediator aims to clear agreement between the participants about how they will deal with the specific issues, na kung saan ang mediator ay naglalayong magkaroon ng malinaw na kasunduan sa pagitan ng mga kliyente o kalahok tungkol sa kung ano paan nila harapin ang tiyak na mga issue o problema na kanilang naranasan. Next is it recognizes the feelings of the individuals but does not examine them in depth. The social worker is concerned about how customers feel about their experiences. So, ang mediator daw po ay makikilala ang damdamin ng bawat individual, ngunit hindi ito lubos na masyadong naimbestigahan, sapagkat ang social worker ay mas interesado sa kung ano nararamdaman ng kanilang kliyente hinggil sa kanilang karanasan. So isang halimbawa po nito ay habang ang tagapamagitan o ang mediator ay maaaring mabigay ng atensyon sa emosyon ng bawat partido sa isang usapan, ang isang social worker ay mas concerned sa mga emosyon ng kanilang kliyente at kung paano ito nakakaapekto sa kanilang kalagayan at buhay. Next page po. Next, it is structured process that it's usually limited to one or more sessions. Social work tends to be longer depending on the needs and progress of the client. So, ibig sabihin, ito ay isang balanseng proseso na karaniwang may hangganan sa isa o higit pang sesyon. So, ang halimbawa nito ay ang isang sesyon ay maaaring tumagal ng isang araw mababang araw, habang ang social work ay maaaring tumagal ng ilang linggo o buwan batay sa kung gaano kalalim ang mga issue ng isang kliyente at ang pag-unlad ng mga kliyente sa kanilang layunin. Next, it is focused on how people would like to see things in the future rather than an comprehensive analysis of recent events. A social worker may need to examine the client past in the detail to bring out the origins and patterns of human belief and behavior out of the open, but that is not main focus. Sa nakasaad po dito, ang mediator ay nakatuon lang kung paano nais ng mga tao na makita ang mga bagay na hinaharap kaysa kumpletong pagsusuri ng mga pangyayari. So, ang isang social worker ay maaaring suriin ng mabuti ang nakaraan ng kliyente upang ilantad ang mga pinagmulan ng kanilang paniniwala at pag-uugali ng tao. Ngunit hindi ito pangunahing focus niya. Sa halip, ang pangunahing layunin ay matulungan ang kliyente na magplano at magtungo sa maayos at maabot ang hinaharap batay sa kanilang layunin at pangarap. Next page po. So next is that the mediator controls the process but not attempt to openly influence the participants or the result. A social worker often deliberately takes this role in the process by striving to influence the client to move in a certain direction or to focus on certain issues. So nakasaad po dito na ang pag-uusap ay mahalaga sa pagitan ng isang mediator at isang social worker, sapagkat ang mediator ay nagpapatupad ng pag-uusap sa pagitan ng magkabilang panig na hindi nagsisikap na direkta na maimpluwensyahan ang mga kalahok o resulta nito. So, ang halimbawa po nito ay isang hiwalayang pag-uusap. Ang mediator ay nagpapadala ng mensahe sa magkabilang panig upang makinig ng maayos sa isa at hanapin ang solusyon ang kanilang problema nang walang kinikilingan. So next is the report examines the integration of mediation in social work, acknowledging its longer-standing recognition with the profession. It delves into the similarities and distinction between mediator and social workers, identifying areas where the mediation find applicability in social work practice. So, ang nakasaad po dito na ito ay sumasalamin sa integrasyon ng mediation ng social worker. Binibigyan pansin ang matagal na pagkilala nito sa larangan ng profesyon. Ipinapakita nito ang pagkakatulad at pagkakaiba ng mediator at social workers at nagtutukoy ng mga lugar kung saan ang mediation ay may aplikasyon na praktikal ng social worker. Next po. The social worker are portrayed as managing various conflicts with the diverse contexts such as individual, families, group, and communities. Conflict management methods employed by social worker include the mediation, advocacy groups, facilitations, and family groups conferences. And both mediation and social work share a common goal for resolving human problems while emphasizing human dignity and respect for individual. So, nakapaloob dito na ipinapakita ng mga social worker bilang namamahala ng iba't ibang mga conflict sa iba't ibang konteksto tulad ng mga individual, pamilya, grupo at komunidad. Ang pamamaraan na pamamahali ng conflict na ginagamit ng mga social worker ay kinabibilangan ng negosasyon, medyasyon, at advokasya ng pagsasagawa ng grupo, pamilya ng mga grupo na komprehensya. So, ipinapakita na pareho ang layunin ng medyasyon at social work sa pagresolba ng mga layunin ng tao habang binibigyan din ang dignidad ng tao at paggalang sa karapatan ng bawat individual. So, next po. So mediation is described as a structured process involving a neutral third party to facilitate dispute resolutions. The benefits of mediation include its constructive nature, cost efficiency, confidentiality, and preservation of relationships. The roles of mediators and social workers are contrasted, highlighting differences in focus, methodology, and duration of interventions. While social workers have a broader scope of functions, mediation expands the horizons of social work practice. And training social workers in mediation equips them with additional skills to navigate conflict effectively within their profession domain. So, ang mga tungkulin daw po ng mga mediator at social worker ay ibinabandira o pinapansin ang mga pagkakaiba ng layunin at metodolohiya at tagal ng intervention. Samantalang may mas malawak na saklaw ang mga tungkulin ng mga social worker na nagpapalawak ng kanilang horizons ng practical social work ang mediation. So, ang pagsasanay daw po ng mga social worker sa mediation ay nagbibigay sa kanila ng karagdagang kasanayan upang matugunan ng epektibo ang mga conflict sa loob ng kanilang professional sa larangan. So ngayon naman po ay dumako na tayo sa mga ilang definition of terms na related sa mediation model or approach. Next po. The number 1 is mediation. So according po dito, the mediation. So pag sinabi pong mediation, ito yung pag-uusap na nagpapakita ng intervention ng mga ikatlong tao or mediator sa isang alitan upang tulungan ang mga partido sa pakikipag-ugnayan sa mga issue, na kung saan ang mediator ay nagtatapo ng mga partido sa isang neutral na lugar kung saan maaaring talakayin ng partido ang alitan at suriin at iba't ibang mga solusyon. Next po. Next is the family mediation. So according to National Family Mediation 2024, ito ay pinangungunahan ng isang professional na mediator ang mga talakayin sa pagitan ng miyembro ng pamilya na tinutulungan nila ang mga partido na tukuyin ang mga issue, humanap ng solusyon at magkaroon ng linaw sa mga susunod na hakbang, na kung saan pagkatapos ng mediation ay ibinibigay ng mediator ang isang nakasulat na buod na pangyayari. So next po. Next is the divorce mediation. So ayon sa NY State Council, nakasaad po dito na ito ay isang prosesong voluntaryo kung saan ginagamit ng madalas at matagumpay ng mga kasal na nais maghiwalay at ng mga domestic partners na nais na ding maghiwalay, na kung saan ang divorce mediation ay nagbibigay sa mag-asawa ng pagkakataon na magplano ng kanilang hinaharap na may kabuluhan at may respeto sa isa't isa. Next po. Next is the conflict mediation. So according to the PRM Mediation 2017, Ito ay isang abot-kayang alternatibong paraan sa paglutas ng alitan sa labas ng hukuman kung saan ikaw ang magdedesisyon sa resulta sa halip ang isang hukom. Next po. Next is the intervention. So according to Beyond Interoperability 2004, so nakasaad po dito na ang intervention na isang paraan sa pagtulong o paglutas ng alitan sa pamamagitan ng mediation, isang neutral na third party na ang tutulong sa nag-aaway na panig upang magkaayos sa isang paraang pareho nilang tatanggapin. So, next po. So, si Ate Yusa naman po ang susunod na mag-discuss. Thank you po.
A pleasant afternoon to everyone in class. I am Yusel Faith Ugulia Vicension. I am assigned to share with you the application of casework under the mediation model. Okay, according to PDEVA 2021, Mediation and Social Work, Exploring Models and Application. Journal of Social Work Practice tackles the several applications for mediation models in social work practice. Next slide, please. Okay, so dito po, nangunguna dito si facilitative mediation model. So ang model na ito ay isang tumutukoy ito dun sa yung si worker yung tumatayo na pumapagitna sa both parties na kung saan nakakaranas sila ng mga conflicts na nag-arise between the individuals, families, groups, or communities. At ginagamit itong model na ito upang i-facilitate or i-guide ni worker yung both parties upang magkaroon ng pagkakaunawaan sa pamamagitan ng communication upang maresolba ang kanilang problema. Next one is a directive mediation model. Dito naman is pumapasok dito si worker na kung saan nangangailangan ng both parties ng guidance upang i-empower sila na dun sa mula sa mga certain matter. Kasi dito maintindihan ni client ang kanilang rights and responsibilities. Next po. Next slide po. Yan. Evaluative mediation model. Dito po, in certain social work contexts such as family or community interventions, evaluative mediation may be employed. Social workers can provide parties with information on legal or industry standards to help them make informed decisions during the mediation process. So ito, si worker naman ay pumapasok in a more dun sa standard na more into legal. Halimbawa, ang example nito is merong mag-asawa na magde-divorce na at kanilang pinag-iisipan kung kanino sasama yung anak. So, syempre, bibigyan ni worker ng linaw kung sino ba yung dapat kung kanino dapat mapunta yung anak. So, yun, dun pumapasok itong evaluative. Ito naman sa transformative mediation model, this model focuses on empowering parties and restoring relationships. Kagaya din nung nauna, about din siya sa pag-empower, pero dito naman is to restore the relationships na nasira na. So dun pumapagitna si worker, making it suitable for social work settings where long-term relationships building and community cohesions are priorities. So applicable din ito sa mag-asawa na medyo shaky ang relationship. So dito pumapasok para muling ma-restore at maayos yung relationship ng dalawang taong yan. So social workers can facilitate transformative mediation processes to address underlying causes of conflict and promote empowerment and mutual recognition. So dito is nililinaw ni worker kung ano ba yung underlying conflict na nangyari dun sa dalawa at upang i-promote din yung mutual recognition para magkaroon ng reconciliation. Next one po. Dito naman is pumapasok si therapeutic mediation. Social workers with training in therapy or counseling may apply the therapeutic mediation model in cases where emotional healing and follow-up support are needed. So, ayan, pumapasok pa dito si worker upang mag-aid ng emotional healing doon sa both parties. So this approach can be beneficial in family or individual therapy sessions where conflicts impact emotional well-being and require ongoing intervention. So, dun pumapasok ang model na ito. The next one naman is the narrative mediation model. In social work settings, dealing with diverse communities or organized conflicts, narrative mediation can be employed to explore underlying cultural differences. So, it is given na we have different adversities and beliefs na tinataglay ng isang individual. And minsan ah, hindi natin naiiwasan na magkaroon ng conflict doon. So dito naman pumapasok si worker para maisaayos ito upang magkaunawaan sila, upang yung sabi dyan, social workers can use storytelling techniques to uncover root causes and promote understanding among parties upang mas ma-widen yung understanding ng bawat isa doon sa beliefs ng bawat isa. So yun po. Next one. Ayan, pumunta naman po tayo dito sa sample case with assessment and intervention. Let's move forward to the case scenario. Okay, the background of this scenario is Jane is a social worker at a community-based family services center. She has been approached by the Smith family, consisting of parents, Mark and Sarah, and their teenage daughter, Emily. So, sila ay tatlong miyembro ng family, tatay, nanay, at isang anak. The family is experiencing significant conflict, primarily centered around the communication breakdowns. Wala silang maayos na pag-uusap bilang family. Maaari na hindi si Emily open sa magulang niya, and maaari rin naman na kung nag-open si Emily sa magulang niya, ay hindi naman siya pinapakinggan ng kanyang mga magulang. So sila ay nagkakaiba sa kanilang values at meron din silang unresolved issues related to Emily's behavior. So the assessment po na nakalagay dito sa scenario na ito. Next slide, please. Yan. The number one na ginawa ni Jane na social worker is the family dynamic assessment. Dito, nakapaloob yung observed communication patterns, roles, and interactions during initial meetings with the Smith family. So, inobserve dito ni worker, paano ba mag-usap, ano yung relationship, ano yung role nila sa buhay ng bawat isa during the initial meetings. At si worker nag-ask ng open-ended question upang i-explore yung relationships ng family, yung conflicts, and other dynamics. Kasi maaari na merong underlying reason bakit si Emily ganito mag-respond sa kanyang magulang, bakit sila nauwi sa ganitong conflict. Use genogram or family mapping techniques to visualize family structures and connections. So, dito tinignan din, inalam din ni worker yung like parang pinaka-background, wala sa sitwasyon nila up to the wala dun sa pinakang history kung paano nagsimula yung kanilang pamilya. Letter B is the individual perspective exploration. Nag-conduct si worker ng individual interviews with Mark, Sarah, and family upang maunawaan yung unique perspective nila and experiences even during their childhood life. Encourage each family member to express their feelings, concerns, and goals for the mediation process. Ayan, in-encourage ito ni worker upang maintindihan niya what intervention and what action yung gagawin niya sa family ng Smith. Utilize empathetic listening and validation to create a safe space for honest communication. So, yun yung ginawa ni social worker upang madali niyang makuha yung mga informations na kailangan niyang intindihan, kailangan niyang malaman doon sa family nila. Okay, so next one po. Okay, strengths and resources assessment. Identify the family's strength, including their willingness to seek help and engage in the mediation process. So, of course, kailangan malaman ni worker gaano ba katindi yung willingness nila na ma-aid yung kanilang circumstances na kinakaharap. At ano ba yung strength ng family na yun? And dito, in-explore din yung external support system such as extended family, friends, and community resources. So, pinaka matinding, may pinakamagandang role talaga dito is sana is the family and the friends, di ba? The extended family, pwedeng ang mga grandparents, tito and titas, pinsan, and kung merong pinaka-close si Emily dun sa family niya, pwedeng sa lolo't lola or pinsan, madaling maintindihan kung gaano ba ka-open si Emily with the extended family. Kung mas open ba si Emily doon or mas open si or hindi din, nagdi-disclose din si Emily. So, dito, malalaman natin sino pa yung mga support system ni Emily at ng kanyang mga magulang in terms of the circumstances they are facing. And then the next one is assess the family's resilience and capacity for change based on past experiences and coping mechanisms. So, next one po. Okay, let's move forward to the intervention part. Dito po is kinonect po natin yung nakapaloob doon sa uh, applied casework for social work na nandun po sa bandang una. So dito po, sa facilitative mediation model, ni-utilize po ni worker yung situation upang maging guide siya ng family ng Smith and negotiating mutually acceptable solutions to their conflicts. This approach emphasizes understanding and communication. Kasi kailangan din po syempre maintindihan at para magkaroon din sila ng maayos na komunikasyon which are essential for resolving conflicts within families. The social worker will facilitate open communication between family members, ensuring that each individual's needs and concerns are heard and understood. Kasi, syempre, kung mayroon pong open communication and nandun yung understanding, is madali mong i-open yung iyong sarili, yung iyong hinaing with your parents or the parents to their child. By fostering collaboration and empathy, the social worker will help the family develop sustainable solutions to their conflicts. Next slide. Directive mediation model. Apply the directive mediation model in situation where the Smith family requires more guidance and direction to reach a solution. So dito, pumapagit na si worker. Si social worker will provide structured guidance to the family, helping them to navigate through complex issues and facilitating the decision-making progress. Through structured guidance, si social worker, iniaim nito na i-empower yung family to make informed decisions and achieve mutually acceptable solutions to their conflicts. Kailangan yung kanilang magiging decision bilang isang pamilya ay parang unified, parang isahan lang talaga. Pero dapat, syempre, accepted yon ng parehong parties. This approach can be effective in cases where there is a power imbalance. Kasi makikita po natin na mayroong power imbalances dun sa family ng Smith. At dito, member of the families when one party needs assistance in understanding the rights and responsibilities. Pag dito pumapasok na maintindihan nila ito yung role ko, ito yung rights ko, ito yung responsibilities ko as the parent and as the child of my parents na kailangan pala maging open din ako, kailangan pala ganito ako umact with my parents, and dapat pala ganito din kami, ganito yung role namin as the parents to our child. Next one po. Intervention naman natin is transformative mediation model. So implement the transformative mediation model to empower the Smith family and restore relationships. Kasi nga po, meron silang di pagkakaintindihan within their values, and their communications. So we need to restore the relationships of the Smith family. The social worker will collaborate with the family to delve into the root causes of their conflicts. Ano ba yung pinagmulan? Ano yung causes? Bakit pumunta sa ganitong sitwasyon, bakit nagkaroon ng ganito kalalang conflict, at fostering a deep understanding of each other's perspectives. Though it will be hard and challenging kasi if relationships na yung naapektuhan, mahihirapan talaga ang bawat isa to open. But since it is family, it is possible na i-open nila yung kanilang mga sama ng loob, hoping na sila yung maiintindihan. And ito na yung moment na andito yung sobrang need ng support from the mediator. Through facilitate dialogue, the social worker will guide the family members in exploring their emotions. Siyempre, babalikan nila yung past nila eh. Babalikan nila yung pinakamapait na yugto doon sa conflict na yon. And it will be uh, painful for them. Ano yung needs, interest, and encouraging empathy and mutual respect. By fostering personal growth and empowerment, the social worker will help the family members develop skills for constructive communication and conflict resolution. Next one, narrative mediation model. This is the last one. Employ the narrative mediation model to explore underlying cultural differences contributing to conflict with the Smith family. So dahil nga meron silang pagkakaiba-iba within their beliefs. So dito na pumapasok itong cultural differences. This approach is particularly useful in social work settings dealing with diverse communities or organizational conflicts. Jane, the social worker, will help the family members share their stories and perspectives, allowing them to understand each other's cultural background and values better. Maybe si Emily is pinanganak siya sa Generation C, which is the Gen Z. And then the parents ay pinanganak syempre dun sa sitwasyon na wala pa naman digital, na very traditional talaga, na nandun yung push for them na kailangan trabaho ka muna bago mag-aral. So maybe they're somehow strict at hindi yun naiintindihan ni Emily dahil nga sa gap ng kanilang cultural backgrounds. So dito, kailangan mapanawa kay Emily na ito yung pinanggaligan sa kanyang mga magulang. And ipaunawa din naman sa mga magulang na ito na yung generation ngayon upang magkaunawaan, upang magkaintindihan. By promoting cultural sensitivity and understanding, Jane, the social worker, will facilitate the resolution of conflicts and enhance family cohesion. And for that, this concludes our topic. Thank you for listening.